You know, a lot of people tell you that the PlayStation Vita had no games, but I can assure you it had tons of great games. And I got my Vita back in 2014, and it was mainly to play one game, and that was Uncharted Golden Abyss. Now, this game was incredible. It just showed how powerful this little handheld system was, and you know, is just as good as its big brother on the PlayStation 3, and it should have been in the collection that was released on the PlayStation 4. I wish it was ported, but this was an incredible handheld system. It's just a shame that it didn't get the support from Sony that it really deserved. So enough about that. Let's get into this collection. I've got over 100 games to get through, so let's just roll a little bit of a thing that I put together for it, and we'll get into the collection. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this collections video is by genre of, you know, RPGs, action games, rhythm dancing games, all that sort of stuff. But I thought I would start off with the Hyper Dimension series. Now, there was 8 games that I know of that have been released on the Vita. It was a really popular series in Japan. I like how it makes, you know, refers to, I think it's the Sega, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. It's got a little bit of play on that in there. It really is a great series, except for one game, and this is the game I'm going to talk about. It's Hyper Dimension Producing Perfection. This is absolute garbage. Probably one of my worst games in the collection. I only got it because it's, you know, it's a Hyper Dimension game, and that's just the way I am. I don't know. You're like I don't know. It's really crazy. It's a very Japanese style of game. You know, going to concerts, and, you know, leveling up, and there's a lot of dialogue in this game. But it actually is the worst game in the series. But everything else is great. The one that really, the newest one I've got is the Neptuna versus Sega Hard Girls. I haven't had the chance to play that yet, but it's really cool. So it's a great series. Some of the games have been released on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, and I'm thinking it's coming to the Switch as well. But it was a great series, really a lot of fun. Never took itself too serious, which is great. Now here's a couple of rare games that I've got. Tad Jones, I don't know if you remember the movie. That was a great movie. This was only released in Spain, I believe, and I was able to pick it up. We got Final Fantasy 12, X12 or whatever, X2, whatever it is. That's the only way you could get that one. And another RPG, I think it is. I haven't really got a chance to play that yet. For me, these are probably the rarest games I've got in my collection. I don't think there's anything else apart from limited run stuff. So yeah. And speaking of limited run, I've only got 6 games from limited run. Bastion is my latest game. Absolutely love this game. There was a lot of stuff that you could pick up from limited run. Valhalla 2, which is like a booze 'em up RPG type of game. It's really bizarre, but you know, Years is in there, Octodad, you know, there was a port from a mobile game as well. But it's really cool to see this sort of stuff happening. But as we know, PlayStation Vita has end production. I don't know when the cartridge will run out, when they'll stop doing that, but I know that Limited Run have a lot of games that they want to, you know, release pretty quick. Otherwise, that's it, it's finished. Okay, so I got only 4 beat 'em up games on the Vita. The latest one I've got is Fighting Climax X, which is a Japanese side-scrolling beat 'em up game. I haven't got too many beat 'em up games. I really need to get a few more in the collection. There's only 4 I've got, but they are really cool games. Odin Spear is fantastic. I just love that game so much. It is really cool. And this one is only on PlayStation games. I think a few of these games have now been released on other systems, but back in the day they were PlayStation only games. Starting off with Gravity Rush, this is a great game. I would have loved to see the second one on the video as well, but I know that they ported this one to the PlayStation 4 and they did the second one on the PlayStation 4. It didn't really sell that well. A lot of people don't know about that title, what it was, how good it is. We can call this a hidden gem now for sure. It's a fantastic game. And Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. Now this was like best Vita game of E3 back in 2012. So you gotta remember this system came out in 2011, late 2011 I think. So this game was built from the ground up, especially for the Vita. It was great to see Ubisoft do this. It is a really great game, and I'm so glad I was able to track this down. I was after this game for like 2 years to find it at a great price. And you got Tearaway, which is a great game. Soul Sacrifice is another one. Shovel Knight is not an exclusive game to the Vita, but you know, trying to find a copy of this now is really hard. And of course we got Uncharted Golden Abyss, Little Big Planet, Mod Nation, Touch My Calamity, which is really cool, Super Monkey Ball, Ninja Garden. So, you know, there was a lot of great support in the beginning for the Vita, but at some stage Sony just pulled out of first party support, which is a shame. You know, I was hoping they would support the machine longer. They didn't, so, you know, to me that is kind of part of the downfall of the system. And you know, they should have bundled this with the PlayStation 4 early on. They would have lost some money on this, I guess, but they could have recouped it from sales of games, I think. I don't know. There was a lot of great exclusive games on the PlayStation Vita, that's for sure. I've got 5 rhythm dance games. Of course, you know, we have the Project Diva, which is a massive series in Japan. It's an incredible phenomenon over there. Persona 4 Dance All Night is really cool. A really interesting dance game from Sega is called 575, which is really cool. It's really playable, even though it's all in Japanese. Cute characters. Yeah, it is what it is. It didn't get ported to the West, unfortunately, but it is very playable. And the Project Diva games, we only got 2 released over here in the West. I'm sure there's a lot more. I knew there was like 3 on the PlayStation Portable, which I have, but you know, it's massive over there for sure. But that's all I've got for the rhythm dance games. Okay, next batch is just random games. We got Gun Girls, which was taken off the shelves in Australia, believe it or not. Shantae, I mean, I think Shantae's been on every system, but it's cool to have a physical copy of that. Assassin's Creed Chronicles is a great game. Rayman Origins, and of course Angry Birds Star Wars. I did not know that this was available on the PlayStation Portable. That's so cool. Honestly, there was a great mix of games on the PlayStation Portable. You know, now is the time to get it. Honestly, if you want to get some games, get it now. The prices are going to go through the roof for sure. I guarantee it. So, are you into RPGs? Japanese RPGs? There was a lot of RPGs released on this system, and this is just a small amount at the moment. Phantasy Star Nova never got released over here in the West. Valkyrie Drive, there were so many great games for sure. Sword Arc Online, Sorcerer's Sage, Psycho Pass, you know, Trigger Happy, Havoc. There was just incredible amount of games. Even with the Wolf Among Us is great. Demon Glaze is another cool game. Conception 2, Final Fantasy 10, and like I said before, I got the physical version of Final Fantasy 10 2, which is 12. I don't know what it is, but I've got it physically, and the only way was in Asia for sure. And yet more RPGs I have: Criminal Girls, Tales of Cold Steel, Dungeon Travelers 2, Corpse Party, Blood Drive, and of course we got the Dragon Quest Builders, which was so fantastic to be able to get that. So Persona 4 as well. So once again, this shows that there were so many great RPGs on this system. Honestly, it was. So we're pretty lucky also to get the Ratchet and Clank trilogy, the Jak and Daxter trilogy, I think it was Sly Cooper trilogy, and even Sly Cooper Thieves of Time, which is a great game to have on the Vita. All of these are great games to have on the Vita. But you know, it was great to see this happen as well, because these were fantastic PlayStation 2 games for sure. Now, covering sports, and I don't know where Top Trumps Turbo should belong in this, but I just put it there anyway. I've got Virtual Tennis 4, Ridge Racer, which is, you know, pretty standard with any new release system. We're going to see a Ridge Racer game. Everybody's Golf and Need for Speed, which is a racing game, but it's a sports game as well. I don't know, but it's in this category. And yet, more RPGs like Zero Time Dilemma, World of Final Fantasy, Little King New Story, Child of Light, which is an incredible game, God Eaters, which I got both the Japanese and the Western copy, Tokyo Xanadu, which I've been after for a long time, and Acrobat Strip. And finishing off the Vita collection, I have just some more random games like Freedom Warrior, Soldier X2, which was a Play Asia exclusive, Batman Black Gate, which is a great game on the Vita. I don't know why it wasn't released on the home console. Rayman Legends, it's been pretty much on every other system, and a few other great games as well. Earth Defense Force 2, which is really cool. So that is my Vita collection. I showed in a previous video my collector's editions of the Vita games. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Over 100 Vita games. It is really sad to see the system go the way it did. It deserved a bit more support from Sony, I think. It did have a lot of great games, and there's still a lot of great games out there that I need to hunt down. So if you see something that's not on this list, let me know, and hopefully one day I can track it down. But it's just sad to see the Vita, you know. Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, sayonara. Thanks for the memories. It was a great little system for sure. So hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.